Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
A big announcement came from the White House in the United States. This news quickly reached people in many countries around the world. It made everyone pay close attention and think about what might happen next. The President of the United States spoke directly about the difficult situation and the ongoing war in Ukraine. He sent a very clear message to the country of Russia. He told Russia that they had a specific time limit. This limit was 50 days. He said that during these 50 days, Russia must try to stop fighting in Ukraine and work towards making a peace agreement. If Russia did not listen to this request and did not make peace within the 50 days, there would be a very serious result. The United States would use a strong punishment related to money and trade. The president said that the U.S. would place a very large tax on all goods that come into the United States from Russia. This tax would be 100%. This means that anything bought from Russia would become twice as expensive because of the extra tax. This punishment also included other countries. The president explained that any other country in the world that keeps buying goods from Russia, for example, oil or gas, would also face this high tax. The United States would put a 100% tax on goods coming from these countries too. This was a new and very strong way to use economic rules. It was a clear attempt to put great pressure on Russia's economy. This important statement was made on July 14, 2025. It showed a new and serious plan to support Ukraine and push Russia towards ending the conflict. The government of Ukraine welcomed this news and thanked the U.S. for showing readiness to help and for the plans for new weapons. Many other countries and experts began thinking about the effects of this deadline and the possible taxes. The period of 50 days had started counting down. This introduction explains this major event and its main points: the deadline given to Russia, and the strong economic threat made against both Russia and its trading partners. The following chapters will explain more details about this important situation. 2. The Big Plan. The president had a big plan. He met with important people from NATO, like the Secretary General, Mr. Rutte, to talk about it. This plan had two main parts. The first part was about helping Ukraine. The United States would send strong, advanced weapons. One type of weapon was the Patriot missile system. These systems help defend the sky. Many countries in NATO agreed to help. They would pay for these weapons. So Ukraine would get more military help paid for by friends of the United States. The second part of the plan was a clear message for Russia. It was an ultimatum for Mr. Putin, Russia's leader. The president said Mr. Putin must make a peace deal in Ukraine very soon. He gave a time limit of 50 days. This time would run until early September of the year 2025. If Russia did not stop fighting and make peace in these 50 days, there would be very bad problems for Russia's economy. The plan was to put very high taxes on goods coming from Russia. Also, high taxes would be put on goods from other countries that still buy things from Russia. This was a strong threat. The goal of this two-part plan was to put a lot of pressure on Russia. By sending more powerful weapons to Ukraine and threatening big economic problems, the president wanted Russia to stop the war. NATO Secretary General Mr. Rutte supported the plan. He said that European countries would help Ukraine and pay for the weapons. Mr. Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, was also happy about the news. He thanked the president for wanting to help Ukraine and make its defense stronger. So, the big plan was set: military help for Ukraine and a strong economic threat for Russia. The world watched to see if this plan would work in the next 50 days. 3. A new kind of tax. This big plan has a new economic tool. This tool is a special kind of tax. Usually, a country puts a tax on goods that come from another country. This is a normal tariff. For example, if a country buys cars from another country, it can put a tax on those cars. This makes the cars cost more money for the buyer. But the new plan uses a different kind of tax. This is called a secondary tariff. It is a new idea. With a secondary tariff, the United States would tax goods that come from countries that still buy things from Russia. This is like punishing a country for trading with Russia. So, if country A still buys oil from Russia, the United States would put a tax on goods that come from country A. This tax would be very high, 100%. This means if country A sells something worth $1 to the U.S. would add another dollar as a tax. This makes country A's goods much more expensive for people in the United States to buy. This idea is new in trade. Countries have used something called secondary sanctions before. These sanctions usually stop money flow, not trade directly with a tax like this. A tax like this, a secondary tariff, has only been used one time before by the U.S., and it was a smaller tax. Many people think this kind of tax might break the rules for world trade. There are rules that countries follow when they trade with each other. These rules say you should treat all countries the same way. This new tax does not do that. It treats countries differently if they trade with Russia. Using secondary tariffs is a very strong way to use trade as a weapon. It does not just tax goods from Russia. It taxes goods from any country that helps Russia by buying its products. The idea is to make it very hard for Russia to sell its things anywhere in the world. This could stop money going to Russia. However, this big new tax plan could also cause problems for other countries and for the rules of global trade. It is a powerful move, but also a risky one, because it changes how countries trade with each other around the world. 4. A look at the past. Let us look at the past. Before the war in Ukraine started in 2022, the United States and Russia did a lot of trade. Goods went from one country to the other. Official data shows that the total value of trade was high in 2021. around $36 billion. The United States bought many products from Russia. A large part of these imports was oil and gas. But this changed very fast after the war began. The United States and its friends put many sanctions on Russia. Sanctions are rules that stop countries from trading or doing business. These sanctions were put in place to hurt Russia's economy and stop the war. Because of these sanctions, trade between the United States and Russia fell sharply. It went down a lot. By 2024, the total trade was only about $3.5 billion. The United States stopped buying almost all oil from Russia. Exports from the United States to Russia also became very small. Now there is very little trade directly between the two countries. The amount of Russian goods the United States buys is small. This is why the new plan for stronger action does not focus only on taxing Russian goods coming into the United States. The history of trade shows that the direct link between the two countries is now weak. Sanctions already did their job to reduce it greatly. So the new threat targets the other countries that still buy things from Russia. It targets Russia's remaining customers in the world, not the small U.S. market for Russian products today. This history helps us understand why the new policy looks at trade with other nations. 5. How the world reacted. The news about the president's plan spread fast around the world. Many countries had different feelings about it. In Ukraine, people were very happy. President Zelensky said thank you for the strong support. He also thanked the president for the new weapons coming to Ukraine. He said this help would make Ukraine's defenses stronger. Ukraine felt this showed the United States was truly with them. European countries that are part of NATO supported the plan to send more weapons. NATO's leader, Mark Rutte, said Europe was ready to help Ukraine in this way. But some European officials were careful when talking about the tariffs. They understood the idea to pressure Russia, but did not say much about the tariffs on other countries. Russia did not react well. Officials in Moscow said the president's message was just for show, like a play. One important Russian official, Dmitry Medvedev, said that Europe was sad about the news, but Russia did not care. Russia's government said that economic pressure would not stop the war. They said only fighting would decide the future. Some of the biggest countries that buy things from Russia, like China and India, were now in a hard situation. A United States official, Ambassador Whitaker, even said their names. These countries buy a lot of oil and other goods from Russia. Now they faced a choice. Keep buying from Russia and risk paying high taxes on their own goods sold to the United States, or stop buying from Russia. They did not say much right away. In the United States, some lawmakers liked the tough plan to pressure Russia, but others were not sure about the tariffs on other countries. They worried it could hurt friends or break global trade rules. Experts also said this new tariff idea had not been used much before and could cause problems. Even with all this news, the price of oil in the world markets went down a little bit at first. Some people who watch the markets thought other countries could sell oil if Russia sold less. Ukrainian economists said that just the threat of tariffs could put pressure on Russia. They thought it could make Russia's economy weaker if the tariffs happened. They said it was good that the president was taking a clear stand. 6. The oil question. Russia is a country that sells a lot of oil and gas. Selling these is very important for Russia's economy. It helps the government get money to pay for things. In the past, many countries in Europe bought Russian energy. But now, because of the situation in Ukraine, many European countries buy less. So, Russia looked for new customers for its oil. Today, the biggest buyers of Russian oil are China and India. They buy a lot of oil from Russia, often at lower prices than from other countries. This trade is a main way Russia still gets money from around the world. The president wants to stop this. The new plan includes a big tax called secondary tariffs. This tax is for goods coming to the U.S. from any country that keeps buying things from Russia, like oil. The tax is 100%. The idea is to make it too expensive for countries like China and India to buy from Russia. They might have to choose, trade with Russia or trade with the U.S. The hope is they will stop buying Russian oil to keep their trade with the U.S. When this new plan was announced, people who trade oil around the world watched carefully. At first, the oil market seemed calm. Oil prices did not go up. In fact, the price of oil went down a little. This might mean traders believe there is enough oil from other places, like the Middle East, to replace Russia's oil if needed. India could buy oil from other countries, but it might cost more money. Some people think this plan will cause problems for Russia later. The threat of losing big customers like China and India could hurt their economy a lot. But no one is sure exactly what will happen. Will these countries stop buying Russian oil? Will the oil market change more in the coming weeks? The effects of this new policy are still unknown. 7. What the experts think. Experts from different countries started to talk about the big news. They shared what they think will happen. People in Ukraine who study how countries earn money believe the words from the United States president were very important. They said that just the threat of new high taxes on Russia and its friends creates a lot of pressure on Moscow. One expert from Kyiv said that this gives President Putin another chance to stop the fighting and make a deal for peace. They think this announcement shows that the United States is truly supporting Ukraine in a strong way. It means the U.S. is not just watching the war. They believe that simply announcing these possible taxes loudly can change what countries expect to happen and make people think differently about doing business with Russia. Ukrainian experts predict that if the United States really puts these very high taxes on countries that keep buying goods from Russia, Russia's economy will have big trouble. They think that prices for things inside Russia could go up a lot. The value of Russian money could become lower. Companies might find it very hard to do business and make money. These experts said it would be very difficult for the Russian government to explain these problems to its people. They also noted that a 100% tax is a very, very strong step. It would make it very hard for Russia's main customers, like China and India, to keep buying Russian oil and gas, because their own goods sold to the U.S. would be taxed high. Some experts even said that Russia's big customers might try to buy extra oil now before the deadline. Experts from the United States also gave their opinions about the plan. People who know a lot about trade rules between countries said this new idea is very new and very difficult to do. They said it is not easy to make rules work when they punish one country, like India or China, for trading with another country, like Russia. This is called secondary tariffs. There could be problems with international laws about trade that many countries agree on. The rules at the World Trade Organization might not allow this. Some American trade experts warned that this aggressive plan has serious risks. It might make trade much harder for many countries around the world. It could also cause problems between the United States and some countries that are its friends or important partners. For example, if the United States puts big taxes on things bought from India or China because they buy oil from Russia, these countries might not like it. They might even decide to put their own taxes on things from the United States. So experts around the world agree that the president's plan is a strong step to put big pressure on Russia. But they also see that it is a very complicated plan. It has possible problems for how countries trade and how they get along with each other around the world. Everyone is watching the next 50 days to see if this pressure will make a difference for peace in Ukraine. 8. What happens next? The 50-day time is passing quickly. Everyone around the world is watching and waiting. What will happen when the deadline arrives? There are different ideas and worries about the future. First, will Russia change its mind? Will the Russian president agree to stop the fighting and make a peace deal in Ukraine? Russia's leaders have said they will not be forced by threats. They called the president's announcement just talk and a show for politics. They said they would not change their military plans in Ukraine. But maybe the chance of facing very high taxes, 100% taxes on all their goods and on their main customers, will make them think again seriously. If countries like China and India stop buying their oil and gas because of the American taxes, Russia's economy will have big problems. Selling oil and gas gives Russia most of its money. Maybe this economic pressure, this big threat to their money, will make them finally want to talk about peace more seriously. Second, will the United States really do what the president said? Will the U.S. government put the 100% taxes on goods from Russia? And will they put the same 100% tax on goods from countries that keep buying Russian oil, gas, and other things? This is a very new and very strong action for trade. Trade experts in America and other places say it could be difficult to make it work. They say it might not follow international trade rules that most countries agree on. But the president and people in the White House say they are ready and willing to do it if Russia does not agree to peace talks within the 50 days. This would be a very powerful use of trade as a weapon. Countries like China and India are important here. They buy most of Russia's oil and gas now, often at lower prices. If the U.S. puts 100% taxes on their goods coming into America, it will be very, very expensive for them to sell things like clothes, electronics, or chemicals in the U.S. market. These countries have a very big choice to make. They can stop buying cheaper oil from Russia to keep their trade with the U.S., or they can keep buying from Russia but lose a lot of money selling their own products to the United States. This choice could really change their economies and global business connections for a long time. Some experts think that even the threat of these high taxes is important. Just talking about doing this makes companies, banks, and countries worried. It creates big uncertainty in the markets for oil and other goods. They think this worry itself can hurt Russia's economy before anything even happens. It might make it harder for Russia to sell things or get money now. They hope this pressure will make Russia act sooner. But other people think Russia will not change its plans just because of a tax threat. They think Russia will try hard to find other ways to keep selling its oil and gas. Maybe they will use different paths or ships that are harder for the U.S. to track, or sell to other countries that do not trade much with the U.S. Russia could also react by putting its own taxes on goods from the United States or other countries that support the U.S. policy. This could make trade difficult and expensive for everyone around the world. This moment is very serious for the war and for the world economy. The final decision whether Russia acts or the U.S. imposes taxes will happen when the 50-day time runs out. It could greatly change the fighting in Ukraine. It could also make big and difficult changes in how countries trade and work together around the world. The whole world is waiting to see what happens next. What do you think will happen when the 50-day deadline is up?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.